This is my intro. There are many others like it, but this one is mine. Greetings and salutations, everybody. Hello, sports fans. My name is Dan, and thank you for having me back. It's been a little while, but I hope you've all been doing well. I've been busy with summer classes, and I'm going to be moving in a little bit here, so I might be busy. Again, that's life. But thankfully, as an amateur YouTuber, I don't really have to worry about income because this isn't my job. This is my passion project. So, big thanks to everyone who subscribed. Thank you for everyone who hits the like and subscribe button. I appreciate that. And now let's get to the topic of our video. What is liberalism? Now, there's a lot of misunderstanding about this because if you're like me and you live in Canada or the USA, liberalism is as far left as you're allowed to go politically without being ostracized and arrested and put on government watch lists. Liberalism is not the left. Liberalism as an ideology has more in common with conservatism than it has any kind of leftism of any stripes. Liberalism, as we understand it, emerged first during the Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution, with the rise of the printing press and the end of the absolute monarchies in Europe. Liberalism is this philosophy that centers around individual rights, and I'm putting that in quotes for very good reason. Liberalism is concerned with freedom of expression and with the right to private property and the free market. Now, these are important things because liberalism is not necessarily about your right to live without the river being polluted by the factory upstream. Or liberalism is about the people who own money and who own means. That's who it's for and that's who it's about. The French Revolution talked about fraternity, equality, and bread, and shortly after that people were quite upset because the liberal revolutions were not delivering that. You can look at the American Revolution as an example of the liberal revolution. It is a break from absolute monarchy of England and a break from feudalism, but at the same time the promises of freedom and brotherhood really ring hollow because at the time only a fraction of white males could vote or participate in government, and to say nothing of, let's say, slaves, black Americans, Native Americans, women, anything like that. All of those were fought later at great expense and great loss of life. So liberalism on paper is concerned with individual freedom. However, it's an individual freedom to own property. That is the main thing of it. The priority of liberalism is to safeguard private property. And by private property, I mean productive things. It's not your laptop at home. It's the factory you own. It's the shop you own. It's your major money-making venture. That is your private property that liberalism wants to enshrine. And in liberal constitutions, that is their number one thing. I mean, freedom of speech usually is associated with liberal democracy, but whenever anyone threatens private property or calls for more radical change, they're usually jailed or murdered. You can look at Martin Luther King, a man who famously said that the white liberal or the white moderate was a greater threat to equality than the Ku Klux Klan and the overt racists. And that's because liberals will, as an ideology, as a group of people, will appear to be socially progressive, but also do nothing to support that. In theory, they were for Martin Luther King's struggle, but in practice, they were very much against him doing anything that was disruptive or unsightly. Not in my backyard kind of mentality. And during the war in Iraq, there were many liberals who were calling for war against Saddam Hussein and his deposition because his government and his party didn't submit to quote-unquote liberal values. So like I said, liberalism has more in common with conservatism. It's about the freedom to own property and the freedom of money to flow. Traditionally in the past, conservatives have been more protectionists and liberals have been more free trade. As liberalism doesn't really have any kind of core ideology beyond protecting private property, you could say that the Bible of liberalism is Harry Potter. It's not a very good book anyways, so that's why liberals like it. So yeah, I do bring this up because I was a liberal for some time, a real liberal in the sense, and then I realized that this ideology really did nothing to advance human happiness or human freedom. If you want an example of liberalism, think of the joke, the stereotype of the gay female drone operator. Sure, there is a token effort to have inclusivity here, but it's a kinder, gentler empire. It's a kinder, gentler capitalism. It is liberalism is the velvet glove on the iron fist of capitalism. That's what it is. And if you want a really good resource at this, I suggest you check out the 4-part series on liberalism by the podcast The D Program. It's a very funny and humorous dive into liberalism while also exposing its hypocrisies, its historical contradictions, and its outright lies, and its purpose in the modern world. So this has been a short one. I'm currently working on summer midterms because those are a thing. So thanks for your time. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day. I will see you next time. This is my outro. There are many others like it, but this one is mine.